Hello and welcome to the Unmissable Album Series. This is episode 1. This is the series about albums that obviously you can't miss. They are truly great albums that you must hear. Tonight's album will be The Downward Spiral by 9 Inch Nails. It was released in 1994 and it's heavy. It's part of the genre of industrial metal, so if you're feeling tired, this will wake you up. Now, The Downward Spiral, as you can probably guess from its title, is about someone who undergoes a downward spiral. Their life just falls apart. They say goodbye to basically everything. It is very intense. It contains a fair bit of coarse language and very adult themes, and I recommend not listening to it if you're too young or if you're too put off by that. Now, sit back and enjoy the album.
I hate this kind of question because it's not a yes or no question. I'm not sure because I feel that I'd need to listen to it a few times.
Yep.
At the moment I liked it, but that's because I appreciate it, not because I personally liked the music.
I like some of it. It's not really my type of music, but there were songs that I did like.
Did I like the album? I didn't like the music per se. I'm usually not a huge fan of that sort of thing, and this really wasn't much of an exception, but the themes and the ideas I really did enjoy. I listened to it expecting nothing, and I came out of it with, it was actually a really interesting album.
It was better than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be a lot more headbanging, heavy, screaming, like a lot worse than it was. So it's not what I would normally listen to though.
Well, of course I didn't like the album. I loved it. Of course I'm going to say I loved or liked the album at the very least because, well, I was the one who brought it up and suggested it, and I'm the one hosting.
I liked the first one.
Yep. Mr. Self-Destruct.
Yeah, Mr. Self-Destruct, and also A Warm Place.
Yep.
Because I felt like my personal preference is I like songs that are easy to listen to or somewhat melodic.
Yep.
So those songs did that for me.
Yep.
It would have to be a toss-up between Closer and A Warm Place. I figured, well, I guess they're more to my music taste, but also they seem to be. Both of them seem to break up the album into distinctive pieces, like you said earlier, and that I figured, set the tone for the rest of the album.
A Warm Place. It says almost more than any other song, yet not a single word is uttered. It really does take you to a warm place, and it just feels like a brief moment of clarity amongst all the cacophony and all the chaos, and it's just like it's like a dying last hope. But of course, another very strong song would be Hurt, which many people would know from the Johnny Cash cover, which he actually covered about 10 years after the song was originally written. And that it's kind of like an epilogue to the album about drug abuse and how much it screws your life up.
I didn't really like Ruiner.
Yep.
Because I felt it was just bland compared to the others.
Mr. Self-Destruct.
Yep.
Oh, myself. Whatever it's called. The first one.
Yep, Mr. Self-Destruct.
Yeah. Very much not my style of music. Very jarring.
Big Man with the Gun seemed like the weakest song to me. I don't really have any strong reason for it or against it. I just didn't feel like it was really in tune with the rest of the album.
The Becoming?
Yep.
Probably mainly because I think it was for, the first half to 2/3 of the song. The recurring screaming in the background got really annoying.
Well, they all have their places, but I'd have to go with my least favourite song. It used to be The Becoming, because obviously the screaming kind of drives you crazy, but with my writing and after listening to an acoustic version of it, it really did grow on me. So I'd have to say the weakest song would be Big Man with the Gun.
It was incredible. I've never heard an album like this. that all the songs mashed together. It was very interesting.
Yeah, it was, surprisingly. I didn't really expect it at first, but it really meshed well, and yeah, I actually kind of liked it.
It really was. Although Trent Reznor really seemed to thrive on everything just being so jarring. You know, it wasn't the whole album that was jarring per se. It was more the fact that, you know, within songs, little bits and pieces were very jarring. It went from soft to loud and music to nothing and things like that. Yep. But apart from that, the album was pretty damn cohesive. I did note that.
Surprisingly, yes, I didn't realise that albums could be structured in such a way that they tell a story like that.
Yeah, it's what's known as a concept album. Now, many people don't know exactly what a concept album is, and you might think, well, aren't all albums concept albums? But no, what this is, it's a story from start to finish of someone's downward spiral, which it is loosely based on what actually happened to Trent Reznor, the guy who basically is 9 Inch Nails. He didn't obviously kill himself because he's about to release a new album, but yeah, it just flows really well from part to part, and the juxtaposition between Big Man with a Gun and A Warm Place, whilst it is jarring, it just works so well.
I do listen to this type of genre, nothing this type of music, if that makes sense. Like
Nothing this dense?
Yeah, all the chords were quite
cacophonous?
Yeah, they clashed a lot, the tune, I guess. So I don't listen to a lot of that music because I don't really like it.
Fair enough.
It's hard for me to listen to, but yeah, I do listen to the genre of metal, so I liked it.
Not by a long shot. I've got pretty much no experience with metal or anything. I actually had to ask people for help when I made a mix of metal music at one stage.
Well, yes and no, because 9 Inch Nails is what you'd call industrial metal, and I don't actually listen to that many other bands that would fall under that genre. Like, I listen to a lot of 9 Inch Nails, and I suppose similar would be Tool, although you'd more call them progressive metal. And then there's Carnival as well, but again, they're more in the progressive metal side of things. But in terms of industrial metal, I generally don't listen to that much of it. It's basically just 9 Inch Nails.
Yes, I would, and I'd also like to listen to more of their other music, just to see what that's like, to see if there's a contrast, because this was incredibly interesting and I really appreciated it.
Probably not in its entirety.
You know, I probably would, if only to get the lyrics to it and just to understand the themes a little bit more if possible. Probably not more than about 2 or 3 times though. It's not my style. It's just, yeah, it'd grate on me way too much.
But of course.
I liked actually a lot of themes that were brought in from the album. There was, for example, the reoccurring screams in a lot of the music, and from the first track there was similar lyrics.
You mentioned during the Becoming the cacophony, the screams and all that. I have to draw a really big parallel between what I was thinking at the time, what my thought process was while I was listening to it, and pretty much the entire thought process of Neon Genesis Evangelion.
And between, I'm bad at remembering these things, much of the things in Piggy, obviously. Yeah.
The silence, the little short stretch of silence between the second last track and the last track were, you know, was deliberate. I don't know whether that was deliberate or not, but I got to say that was powerful.
It was interesting to listen to something different. Like, I didn't think I was... I thought I would dislike it a lot more, but it was actually... even though it's not my sort of music, you can tell that it's still well structured.
Even if you don't like a particular genre, if you listen to a really great album in that genre, you can appreciate how good the songwriting is. So everything's worth a listen to once, except for Justin Bieber.